Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're gearing you up to help your novice employee clients absolutely maximize their workplace savings using a powerful, yet kind of complex tax strategy. We all know that navigating the tax code can feel like learning a foreign language for the average investor, right? Well, your job is to act as the translator. So we're going to focus on a brilliant concept known as the mega backdoor Roth. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to break this down so your clients can grasp the immense value of this strategy without getting completely lost in the technical jargon. Okay, let's dive right into this structured playbook. Here is our agenda. 1. Maxing out workplace savings. 2. The two-step savings bucket. 3. Roth versus taxable accounts. 4. Navigating the complex rules. 5. Warning clients about taxes. And finally, 6. Unlocking the backdoor strategy. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Maxing Out Workplace Savings. You definitely want to pose this exact scenario to your client, because they likely believe they've completely exhausted their workplace retirement plan options for the year once they hit that standard limit. For a lot of people, the financial journey just stops right here. They hit their standard employee contribution limit, which for the 2026 tax year is $24,500 for those under 50, and they think, well, I guess I'm done. I'll just put the rest in a regular bank account. Your job is to show them that the ceiling they're looking at is actually just a false ceiling. Because here is the real limit. $72,000, or $80,000 if they're 50 and older. That is the actual IRS limit for 2026 total contributions. It's a massive hidden opportunity to save far beyond that standard $24,500 limit. See, this $72,000 figure encompasses all types of 401k contributions, pre-tax, Roth, employer matches, and crucially, after-tax contributions. When you show your client this number, it completely shifts their perspective on what's possible within their workplace plan. It essentially opens the door to a strategy that can absolutely turbocharge their path to a tax-free retirement. All right, moving on to Section 2, the two-step savings bucket. We want to break down these dense IRS rules into a simple visual analogy your novice clients will instantly grasp. Financial jargon completely alienates people, but everyone understands buckets. So explain the process to your client like this. First, we pour their extra savings into an after-tax 401k bucket, and second, we immediately drain it into their Roth IRA or Roth 401k bucket. Tell them their standard contributions have already filled up their first regular bucket. To reach that massive $72,000 limit, we have to start filling a temporary bucket, but we do not want the money to stay in that temporary bucket. We want to move it into the permanent tax-free Roth bucket as fast as humanly possible. So the crucial point here is making sure your client understands that this first bucket uses after-tax contributions, which are fundamentally different from their default pre-tax deferrals. With pre-tax deferrals, they get a tax break now, but with after-tax contributions, they have already paid taxes on this money straight from their paycheck. However, any money this after-tax contribution earns while just sitting in the account will eventually be taxed at ordinary income rates when they withdraw it in retirement. Honestly, that is a terrible deal compared to a Roth account, which is exactly why the second step, the immediate conversion, is so vital. Which brings us right into Section 3, Roth versus taxable accounts. At this point, your client might logically ask, why jump through all these hoops? I'll just open a general investment account. Well, the advantage of the backdoor strategy is stark. The Roth bucket shields their growth entirely, whereas a standard taxable account suffers from an ongoing tax drag that significantly erodes their returns during retirement. In a standard brokerage account, or GIA, they're going to pay taxes on dividends every single year, and they'll pay capital gains taxes when they sell assets to fund their retirement. Research from Vanguard actually shows that taking money from a taxable account involves a serious tax drag compared to tax-advantaged accounts. Over a 20 or 30-year retirement horizon, that tax drag acts like a slow leak in their savings bucket. The mega backdoor Roth plugs that leak permanently by securing completely tax-free growth and withdrawals. Okay, let's look at Section 4, Navigating the Complex Rules. After showing them the immense benefits, you gotta bring the client back to reality. This strategy is entirely dependent on their specific employer's plan rules. This isn't something they can just decide to do on their own. Give your client this exact checklist to take to their HR or benefits department, because without these specific features, the back door remains firmly shut. First, the plan absolutely must allow after-tax contributions. Second, and just as important, it must permit in-service withdrawals to a Roth IRA or an in-plan conversion to a Roth 401k while they are still employed there. If the plan traps the money until they leave the company, the whole strategy falls apart. Finally, tell them to ask about an auto-convert feature. This is the holy grail, as it automatically sweeps those after-tax dollars right into the Roth bucket immediately. Now for Section 5, Warning Clients About Taxes. As their professional guide, it's your absolute responsibility to highlight the potential drawbacks and hidden tax traps before they execute the strategy. A good financial guide doesn't just point out the destination, they point out the potholes along the way. Clearly define this risk for them. Any money that grows while sitting in the first bucket will be taxed at ordinary income rates when it finally moves to the second bucket. Remember, they already paid taxes on the initial contribution. But let's say they contribute $10,000. They wait 6 months, and it grows to $11,000. When they finally convert that to their Roth bucket, they are going to owe taxes on that $1,000 of growth, right now for this current tax year. Stress to your client that timing is everything. Minimizing the time money spends in the after-tax bucket minimizes their tax exposure, making those auto-convert features highly valuable if they have access to them. If they don't have an auto-convert feature, they might literally need to manually call their plan administrator every time they get a paycheck to move the funds. They really need to understand this administrative burden up front so they aren't hit with an unexpected tax bill on those intermediate earnings at the end of the year. Finally, we reach Section 6, Unlocking the Backdoor Strategy. You need to help your client assess if the administrative effort of this strategy actually aligns with their broader financial picture. It's a fantastic tool, but it's not the right tool for everyone at every single stage of their life. Walk through these final assessment questions to ensure the Mega Backdoor Roth makes practical sense. Have they actually maxed out their standard pre-tax and Roth limits first? Are their emergency funds and short-term goals totally secure? We also have to consider their tax picture. Is a Roth conversion beneficial now compared to their expected tax rate in retirement? And crucially, as we just discussed, are they really willing to put in the time to do the manual conversions if their employer doesn't automate it? Conversions cannot be undone, so it is a permanent commitment of their capital. So the final question really is your client ready to open the Mega Backdoor? I want to challenge you, as a professional, to take this playbook, simplify the tax code for your clients, and help them unlock the ultimate workplace savings strategy. You now have the visual analogies, the critical warnings, and the step-by-step framework to make a highly complex strategy totally accessible to any motivated saver. So review your client roster, identify the folks who have hit that standard ceiling, and ask yourself, are you ready to guide them through the Mega Backdoor? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. See you next time.